I bet you thought you've seen the last of me.
I'm so excited to be back, and I really want to share 3 things that helped me in my manifestation journey. And I really want to share, like, through my journey how I learned about these concepts, because I want them to resonate with people. I know sometimes, like, when we're looking at manifestation content, things can get misconstrued or things can get reiterated. I just want to share purely my experience and hopefully help you not struggle and not go through the years of research and dwelling in negativity that I personally did. Number 1 is the power of awareness. Now, I realized the power of my awareness through reading, but before that, I could recall times in my life where genuinely my awareness was reflecting back to me in my reality, and I did not understand or realize that was coming from me. And before I begin, I share this story to empower myself and to empower others, not to blame or shame. That is never, I feel like, should never be the goal of manifestation. The goal should be to empower yourself. So I realized the power of awareness when I got bullied when I was a kid. And I say this now because I have so processed that it doesn't even shake me. But if someone else has not, this is to give you hope. This is to let you know you can really come out better than what you went through. You know what I mean? No experience should define who you are. Okay, I'm gonna get to the point. And so I went through this whole transformation. I think I hit like a tipping point of just like spiraling into negativity that I was just like, I never want to feel this way again. I promised myself. I was like, okay, I'm shaking the phone, sorry. I promised myself, I said, from this point on, this is not my story. I don't care. And you can say whatever you want to say, right? And at the time, I didn't realize I was affirming, okay? I was like, you can say what you want to say, but your words have no impact. That's what I would say in my mind, okay? I would literally just like picture myself like giving a speech, and I didn't even know who I was giving a speech to, okay? But I would just say that to myself, and I would picture myself saying that and how much it empowered me in the moment, even though in the past it was never true before. But in that moment, it is. Because what manifestation is at its core, a lot of people will tell you that, oh, it's getting something out here, it's getting this validation, it's impressing people, it's what's it called, people who manifest are like this, people who manifest are like that. What it is at its core is honoring and remembering your most authentic self. That's what I realized, is when I changed my self-concept, when I reminded myself that, first of all, my looks do not create value for me. I have value because I exist. Second of all, I look good. I look great. Actually, like, nobody can tell me anything these days. Who hacked me? So, when I was a kid, I used to be super hypercritical about my looks. I used to focus on things I did not like. I used to focus on things like my eyebrows, my eyelashes, my hair quality, my body type, things that girls are pressured into thinking. And it's just like, I realized every single thing that I thought about myself, like, someone said to me, and it's kind of like, oh my god, like, poor queen, but also, like, I really don't care because that made me stronger. But anyways, and now that I identify as a person who is secure, is confident, I didn't care if I believed it at the time. Remember that, I didn't care. Having some sort of faith, like, yes, it helps, and I definitely had faith, but it's definitely not required. It definitely helps. Not required. I'm going on to my next point. Number 2 is emotional regulation, and this goes into why people talk about not reacting. Now, I personally have my own definition of not reacting to the 3D or the physical reality, where I say, internally, do not shoot down your manifestation. So, for example, if you're manifesting, I have $100, okay? Let's just say that. Then, you're not going to instantly follow up with, no, I don't. Even if you think that, you're just going to ignore it or redirect your awareness into the fulfillment of your desire. Now, what does this mean? When I have a doubt pop up, I can do one of 3 things. A, research, like, for example, on manifestation or law of assumption, you can go on Reddit, Tumblr, all these different places. Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, A lot of different people who've talked about manifestation for a long time. There's a lot of creators on here also. There's a lot of resources actually when you look for it. There's even resources in other fields of study that sometimes relate to manifestation, or you can personally relate it to your own experience. I also really liked looking at success stories when I was first manifesting. I still do that too now, because sometimes it helps me take what I want off the pedestal, because it reminds me, if someone else can do it and they were in a similar situation, or even if they were in a completely different situation, so can I. Because what is genuinely the difference? It's humanly possible. It's happens so often, and if you know how to change your awareness, how to look for those things will come back and pop up in your reality. Now, you don't need to over research, because the importance is practically applying what you know, right? But sometimes a few like questions that are like a little bit like, okay, I need to know how this works. Sometimes people have really good answers, and I found that like other people's personal experience helps me. That's why I'm sharing mine. Number 2 is directing yourself to the fulfillment of your desire. How would you think, act, feel, speak if you had the thing now? Okay, and you can bring that in yourself with imagination. You don't have to express that outwards, but you can also express that. You can act as if, like, for example, when I was manifesting more people watching me, more people following me, as you know, in my first couple of videos, I was talking like saying people, you guys. Nobody was watching me yet. I was genuinely on my delusional. And one more thing before my next point is feeling it real, or feeling fulfillment is not necessarily forcing yourself to feel an emotion. Yes, you can bring emotions if that's what you want to do, but feeling it real is more the feeling of fulfillment, feeling it done, feeling relaxed, feeling confident, feeling like, okay, I don't know how it's going to come about, okay? Because a lot of people don't even understand how. I didn't understand how for half of the things I manifested, okay? My relationship included. So it doesn't matter the how, but just knowing that it's going to be okay. I don't have to be desperately wanting. I don't have to be desperately looking at content. I don't have to feel bad about myself for being desperate in the past. I don't have to feel bad about what he, she, they is going to think. I don't have to feel bad about anything. I just know that no matter what, this is going to happen. Like, I don't know how, but just know that I've experienced too much coincidence. I've experienced too many people getting what they want. I've experienced myself getting what I want too many times for it to just merely be a coincidence. It lines up as a pattern, and you're not gonna gaslight me on this. Okay, my last point is for the people who've been manifesting for a while. Okay, and they've been told to persist. What is actually persisting? A lot of people, okay, I thought I was persisting for a long time. I thought me looking at content and me just scrolling and things like that, doom scrolling all day, was me persisting. But I realized, I was like, okay, I'm not actually saturating myself in this thing. I'm not actually like, when I have a doubt, I'm not actually redirecting myself. I'm not actually persisting in the way that I thought I was. I thought persisting was forcing myself to endure all this content, forcing myself to see every single perspective. The best example I have about forcing that I personally did was literally on this channel. I would overpost for days at a time, and I would keep looking at the old story, which was views, right? And because I didn't hit 1 million within 1 minute, right, which I would have hit if I was focused on my internal reality and my imagination, right, which I've had hit before on TikTok, right, which is not super crazy as people may make it seem, I would force myself to look at my page. I would force myself to look at manifestation content. I would force. I would feel like this tightness in my chest. It just did not feel good. I thought that was manifesting, and that's why a lot of people get burnt out, because that's not truly manifesting. I believe, for my explanation of persisting, the best way I can explain it is through saturating, through normalizing that experience. So what do I mean by this? I mean your affirmations. I mean looking at success stories. I mean whatever you want to do, just deciding. I mean ignoring your doubts. I mean redirecting your doubts. You know how to do this. It's simple, but it's not always easy to comprehend. But today, you are gonna learn. I used to get so upset with my reality. I used to scream. Oh my god. This is actually so crazy. I used to scream in public and ask God why he hates me. When I tell you, I used to be the most stubborn person when it came to this idea. I did not want to believe that we are creating our reality, or that our thoughts can create, not necessarily thoughts, but whatever, our imaginal reality, our 4D. And this is because there was part of me that had comfort in the idea that life was random, because therefore I had no responsibility in the way I was showing up in my life. So for example, things that I assumed negative things all the time about people, but I used to be on such a defensive because of the things that I went through, that I had genuinely had a victim complex. And what I mean by this is I used to put the blame on every single thing. I would be like, okay, the reason why I'm not getting this is because of that in my life, or the reason why I'm not getting the thing that I want is because someone in my past told me that I can't. But that notion is empowerment, because in this present moment you can move out of your own way. You can move your own block, okay? And that's reminding yourself, like, for example, I realized how much of a wimp I was being. This is not to compare or blame myself. This is kind of to compare and maybe blame myself, but okay, hold on. When I realized the things I was being scared at, like, for example, me being 17 and being scared of adulthood, like, compared to where my mom was, like, queen, by the way, queen, but she came to this country like at a very young age, so compared to where my mom was, sister, that's scary. She was 17, about to turn 18, navigating, no, I think she came here 18, okay, whatever. She was navigating a whole new world. So I tell myself, if my mom could do it, I could do it. And suddenly that changes my self-concept, and that makes me feel better. If I can do it, I used to be the biggest wimp, you can do it, okay? And that is called empowering yourself. That is self-concept, changing the way you conceive self. And I can do a whole video on that as well, but I hope this changes your perspective. I hope this changes your entire framing and reminds you that you don't have to be perfect to manifest, okay? You just have to remind yourself that you have the power of awareness. You're not your body, you're not your toes, okay? You are awareness, your consciousness, okay? Bye.